Okay, so previously we showed you some prototypes from Taylor. Bob Taylor reworked 810E Legacies, revised tapers, revised bracing, some really cool stuff that sounded phenomenal. Listen to your feedback on there. What we are now doing is a rundown you guys have been wanting to see with a bunch of great stellar Rosewood Dreadnoughts, so stick around. Hey, you're watching Alamo Music TV. My name is Chris McKee.
My name is Cooper Greenberg.
We're here with Alamo Music in San Antonio, Texas. You can find us online at alamomusic.com. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, turn on notifications, like our videos. If you want to support the channel, you can visit our spring store link below for custom swag and check out the podcast, the Fretboard, Confessional, wherever you get your podcasts at. So as I said at the beginning, we showed you these prototypes. Everyone was like, hey, those are really great. You voted on which ones you like best. This one we are showcasing today. It is, again, part of those prototypes, revised bracing, different taper, deeper body. And this one's actually already spoken for. So our good pal William got it, but allowed us to kind of showcase it for today. So we could do this comparison, because what we want to do is really compare it with the Big Daddy, the HD28, that obviously it would be compared to, but also some other models in the lineup. Now, we had kind of done this comparison previously with just the normal 810E Legacy, but I think everybody agreed the three guitars, every single one of them sounded different. And the revised taper, the deeper body really does make a difference. We talked about that on the channel. I mean, every guitar where I've played pre-war deep body D45s and stuff, and you could just tell there's just there's more resonance to them. So today we've got a huge rundown with this 810E Legacy prototype, HD28E 2025 model.
There's no E in this.
I don't know why I said E.
He thinks there's an E in everything. All right.
No, I have an E coming.
You can't spell McKee without two E's.
Yes. You can't evidently spell it without an A, but that's a long story.
That's Chris McKay. We kind of, the rest that we're referring to over here, it's sort of a representation of the premium dread options that we carry here.
Right.
So we're going to be talking other Taylors. We're going to be talking about Furch. Little Furch time. Of course, we have a Gibson over here that's kind of a random one that we're lucky to have. That's kind of, it's a trade-in. We got some Yairi action, and some of them we've shown on here before. I don't think ever all together in one. Yeah.
And this really is a shootout just from a tonal standpoint.
Yeah.
And for what it's worth, I mean, yes, there's compression on YouTube. We do our best to try to capture these so that they sound the way that they sound. What you're going to hear are, all Dreadnought guitars, all Spruce Rosewood, but with the flavoring, the voicing in the bracing from the manufacturers. And things like body depth, as well as the types of bracing and how they're shaped, are all going to come into play here.
Yeah. I think we should start off as the control group with the new taper of the 810.
Let's check it out. All right, so that was Taylor's revised prototype, 810E Legacy, with the deep body. We're going to compare it now to the 2025 revision, reimagination, of the HD28. I mean, usually when you're thinking Rosewood, Spruce Dreadnoughts, this is definitely on the Mount Rushmore of them. And the revisions for 2025 have brought about a lot of kind of vintage, redone aesthetics and bracing and so forth.
Yeah, some very, maybe unnoticeable things to the untrained eye. Angled nut on this bad boy. All right?
Gotta have your nut angled.
If your nut's not angled, your butt's getting strangled. You know what I'm saying? But we got kind of a revised bridge shape, a little bit thinner fingerboard with rolled edges. The velute's longer, so that's gonna add like a lot more bass response. And then you may say, why didn't you go D28? Because now that has scallop bracing too.
Yeah,
that's true. But the herringbone actually does add a lot more of that like kind of chime.
Sure it does. I'll tell you why we chose the HD28 because I like it better.
Yeah, we like HD28.
So yeah, you've got the golden era bracing, and I think I've heard a thickening of the tone in all the 2025 kind of across the board. So be interesting to see how these all compare. But check it out. Okay, so if you're a fan of our channel, you may have already seen our video that we did introducing this. This is a new Taylor Golden gold label.
Yeah,
I wanted to say
golden era gold label.
We just said golden era, and then I wanted to say gold. Yeah, so gold label, and it's a 717E. So torrefied spruce, rosewood back and sides. Big thing here that's going to be different is the neck joint and the new bracing, which is V-class fan bracing. It's going to give this a very different sound from probably much of anything else in here. But the goals of the sound are really to kind of reach back into vintage guitars and bring it into the present, I would say is a good way of describing those. So we were smitten with this and the mahogany version in our review of them.
Yeah.
So maybe you came because of that review. So here it is compared with the rest of these guitars. Check it out. It's hard to beat a really good Gibson acoustic guitar, and this is a good example. I'm actually excited to include this for a number of reasons. One, it was a trade-in that we got. It's a great guitar. It is a custom shop Advanced Jumbo. And the reason that I like this is because I was crucified on the internet for failing to point out that Advanced Jumbos are different from J45s outside of having Rosewood because they also have a longer scale length. Except this one doesn't. This is a custom shop AJ creation that has a short scale length. So there you go, internet. You're not always right about everything. Okay. So, and I'm not always right about everything, obviously. But this is a great guitar. It's a custom shop. It's got, spruce, rosewood, long saddle, a lot of vintage stuff going on with this. I really like good Gibson acoustics, man.
I love a good Gibson acoustic. I feel like this is an interesting one to put right after the new gold label because there's definitely some Gibson influence there.
Yeah.
But it's also very different. Like you said, this one's shorter scale, but this has, you'll hear it, but it's got that like sort of old school just warmth that you always want out of a good Gibson acoustic, but it's rosewood, so you still have a little bit of that high end kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's very cool. There are, since this is not a new guitar, obviously, there are plenty of rosewood options coming in and out of their acoustic line all the time.
It's interesting what I think they've done recently. They had, almost every Gibson was maple or mahogany.
Yeah.
And rosewood was seemingly confined to the songwriters, which they have, it looks like, just completely discontinued at this point. And now instead have put rosewood throughout the lineup as an option in a J45 or Hummingbird or a J200, etc.
Yeah, which is cool. But it's also nice. Sometimes in the custom shop you can find some fancy cool things. So check it out.
All right, so here's a great comparison coming from the far region of Japan. Alvarez Yairi, which is the DYM72.
This is DYM70, and I chose it because we're dealing with
Spruce
Sitka tops, and they do make this with an Addy top. It would be the 72, but almost identical guitar, just different top woods. I think this is a better comparison with say the 810.
Yeah.
Now this is obviously pretty different, but the bones pretty much the same.
The main recipe's intact.
Yeah. Scallop braced, Sitka top,
FST6, so it's a forward shifted scallop brace that owes its lineage probably to Martin.
Yeah.
With some of its own workings and design.
But the big thing here is you can see direct coupled bridge. The strings are anchored directly into this little plate on the top, so it's not pulling the bridge up and pushing down, so you're getting downward pressure on the actual bridge, strings that are anchored in the top, and it's a thing of its own. Did you recently compare this with the Martin in one of your videos, I think?
I don't remember if it was the 70 or the 72.
I know you did. So these are great kind of like side by side with Martins and other dreads, or if we're looking at the OMs, because they have that same recipe, but they definitely have their own sound. I wish that we had an FG9R to throw in, because we did do a video like that with the Addy tops, but that's an Addy top and we don't have them in stock. But that's an honorable mention, made in Japan Dreadnought, but this is kind of like the simple jack version of the Yairi dread.
Yeah, very very simple Japanese style appointments and just beautiful execution, as we always say. Benchmade guitars, just executions just top notch.
Yep.
And they sound great, and I think there's a bit more high fidelity that comes out. That came out
Mhm.
when we compared it with the FGs.
Yeah.
Those sounded very traditional, and these sounded a bit more modern sounding. So,
Yeah.
take a listen. Okay, so here we have, that last one on our list, a guitar that has quickly endeared itself into our hearts here in the store, and we've had a lot of customers fall in love with it too. This is a Furch Vintage 2 DSR. So Dreadnought, Spruce, Rosewood back and sides. The Vintage 2 gives you herringbone, cream binding. Really, it's similarly appointed to an HG28. One of the big things that's always a benefit with Furch is it's a lot less expensive compared to an HG28. Not quite $1,000 difference, but pretty darn close.
Mm-hmm.
Just a really ridiculously well-made, great-sounding guitar. Everyone that I've put this in the hands of was like really blown away with how good it is.
Yeah, this one does have the new neck system in it, which gives it a little bit of similarity with the gold label. It's a quicker neck adjustment that's just adjusted with a little on the inside.
We call those flex drivers.
Yeah, little. So I will also say this one has sort of the most unique finish out of all of these.
Full pour vintage.
Full pour vintage, really just beautiful finish. There are some of these, like the Martin and the Gibson, that are nitro finish. There are some that are polyurethane finish. This is UV cured goodness.
Mm-hmm.
But also, this is the only one that kind of has a little bit of that vintage gloss, kind of almost relic, but not.
It's similar to Martin's authentic finish.
Yeah,
if you've ever played an authentic, I would call them both a semi-gloss finish. It's not super glossy. It's got a bit of a sheen as the light hits it. It really shows off the wood very well. I mean, I'm looking at it from the side, and you can see the mirror effect from so it's glossed, but also not. So I'm a huge fan of that particular finish. We've had some rainbow guitars come in that were a lot more modern, but also had that finish on it, which I love. Speaking of modern, back of the neck is a finish that is satin and will kill microorganisms and bacteria.
Yeah, I mean, in this day and age. So
I love that.
Internally, it's like this has got a little bit of the Taylor vibe, gold label, super modern neck adjustment. Externally and sonically, this is probably the one to me that is most directly HD28. Like, this is just a straight up their version of that guitar. But they do a really, really good job with it, and I love this guitar.
Voice top, too.
Voice top. So check it out.
All right, so there you have it. That's a great rundown of some incredibly good Spruce Rosewood Dreadnoughts. It brings us back to this that kind of started the whole idea. You know, there's little changes that you can make that really have a huge impact on the guitar. Small changes to bracing, changes to body depth, neck, you know, how the neck joins, all of those things. But we'd like to hear from you in a poll. What would you pick? What was your favorite that you heard? And there's a lot of considerations there. It's not just sound, you know. One of the things that you can't experience through here that we can kind of talk about is the setup and the playability.
Yeah.
You know, I think the guitars that have a bit of a leg up on everything is the Furch Vintage 2 and the Gold Label having that really easily adjustable neck angle.
Yeah.
Being able to adjust the neck angle as easily as you can adjust the relief from a truss rod is pretty game-changing.
Yeah.
And if it's not detracting from the rest of the guitar as an instrument, then it's a bonus.
It's like the cotton gin.
Yeah.
I mean, it changed up the whole industry.
So I think that's pretty stellar off the top. The fact that this also has a similarly adjustable, although, like I said, with a few more steps, you can adjust the neck angle on this with some shims and get dialed in over the course of the life of the instrument. I think that's great. But that just speaks to just setup, if you will, and where you want it.
Yeah. So a few things that we didn't really mention throughout. I mean, each one of these has a different neck profile.
Mm-hmm.
That one and the Gibson both have gloss necks. Everything else has got a satin neck. I'm more of a satin neck fan, but that's not necessarily going to be the deciding factor for me choosing guitar. You know, it's whatever. That one obviously has a gloss neck because that's how 810s were done. And I really like the neck profile of that as I do of the gold labels. Furch and Yairi, Alvarez, those definitely have a different like feel to them. This isn't necessarily, it's pretty soft rounded.
Soft V.
Yeah, soft V to C, right? Something like that. It's similar with the Yairi. Martin, I mean, modified low of how can
Golden
you go
era,
wrong?
though.
Yeah, I mean, GL, GE, MLO, that's classic, you know? But then the Gibson, I will say with this guy, this is very V. And I'm guessing that is custom shop based, kind of era specific. But that's a definitely different neck.
Yeah. Yeah, you can feel it pronounced, but it fits right in the palm of the hand.
Yeah, I like a V. I think with this guitar, you can tell probably listening to it. I can tell playing it like this has got some years on it. This has got everything else here is brand new. So the Furch just came out of the box. Martin just came out of the box. Gold Labels just came out of the box. That's been here, but only really played for the last video. The Yairi has been on the floor, but it's brand new guitar. This one feels played in. It's like really light and also
it's
just
torfied
kind
top too, I think.
Oh, torfied.
I think so.
So there is a little bit of a like unfair advantage that this one has because it's been played. It's a used guitar. It's not extremely old, I don't think, because it's in really good condition. But do you know what year this one is?
I think it's 2014.
Yeah. So I mean, it's had over 10 years to open up. You can tell it's a very good guitar. But yeah, I think for me, a big standout amongst these, like every single one's got something special to it. We loved the 810 compared to the HD in the first video that we did.
Yeah.
And it's only gotten better because of the new taper. HD 28's one of our favorite guitars, and it's only gotten better because of the new 2025. We love the Yairis. Love the Furch. It's only gotten better because of the new neck system. You know, each one is cranking. Andy Powers versus Bob Taylor. Both are doing cool things with dreads right now. So it's just fun. We're just having a good time.
Yeah,
it's our first 7-way tie, I think.
It's a great time to be alive when so many guitars are so good. It's funny as I take each one kind of on its own. There's things that I like about each one that I don't think would work on the other. Like I love the open gear tuners on some of these, and I like the closed back modern tuners on others. Yeah. It's just it depends upon what the guitar calls for, and so I think each one of these manufacturers has done a good job of putting it together as it was. I don't know honestly which one I would pick. if given cash and a choice. It'd be pretty difficult.
I think the good thing is, which is an interesting point, most people, they buy 1 or 2 guitars. There's also plenty of people that we talk to that buy multiple guitars, maybe a year or whatever. And it's always a thing of, well, I have my Spruce Rosewood Dread because I have a D28. So now I need a Spruce Mahogany Triple O.
Right.
Because they think with one Spruce Rosewood Dread, they've covered that category. But a lot of these range.
Yeah, there's a little difference in each one.
You can get different flavors.
Price-wise, the Furch, I think, is the least expensive one here.
Yeah,
right?
The Furch is going to be under $3,000.
Is this the next least expensive? Well, the normal 810E. Rather.
The 810E.
Yeah. Prototype's not, but.
And the Yairi are around that same price.
Just under an HD28 price.
So HD28 this year is $34.99. I think that one's $33.99.
Well, the normal 810E.
Yeah. The Yairi's right around there. This guitar is like $14,000. I'm just kidding. I don't know how much.
Custom shop Gibsons aren't cheap. People.
Custom shop Gibsons aren't cheap. However, actually the least expensive one is the gold label.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say that just came out. Yeah, the gold labels are really good values.
Yeah, so these are all in between the $2,800 and $3,500 mark. So it's a fair comparison with each one of these brands. For the most part, you can get something more expensive or something less expensive. But I feel like this is the fairest comparison of all of them because you can go for a vintage one, Furch, but you're not going to get Rosewood.
Mm-hmm.
You can go for a D45, but you're going to spend $6,000 more.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of stuff. So it's a fair enough range, I think.
I think in regards to the revisions, the prototype revisions to the 810, one thing that just seems to be clear, though, is Taylor needs to put those into production. Yeah. The deeper taper really adds a lot. Revised bracing, just improves the guitar along the lines of what you want it to do. I think when you buy a big Rosewood Spruce Dreadnought, what you want it to do is just rumble, have a ton of volume and personality. Each one of these does a pretty good job of that.
Yeah.
But you get to be the deciding factor in our poll of what one stood out for you. Sometimes I love to do this as a blind test just so that brand loyalty or what your grandpa played didn't come into.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, let us know by using your voice. Get out there and vote. You too.
Yeah, vote a key.
You ever hear the joke about that? Like, hey, they're not supposed to tell us who to vote for. And they've got these signs all over here. They say, vote a key. Anyway.
He's a front runner for me. I'll tell you that.
So if you want more information about any of these guitars, you can check them out on our website, which is
alamomusic.com.
And check out all the specifications, compare, reach out to us with any questions. We'll help you find the guitar of your dreams. If you're new to our channel,
you're going to want to subscribe to the channel, and you're going to like and comment and share. And keep in mind, if there's something that you love on this list, you can buy it from us. And if we've sold it, we can typically get another one, except if it's this one or the prototype Taylor. Yeah. So if you're watching this and that's your number one pick for either one of these, give us a call. The rest of them will be available when you're ready, hopefully soon.
That's exactly how it works.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.